my goodness. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Even you here, hi, my name is Jay Karanj and welcome to my channel. So I really hope, oh my goodness, I just start filming and this noise begins. If there's so much noise, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry about yesterday's video. I know there was a lot of banging going on and I'm pretty sure there will still be banging going on, but I hope that you can still hear me and that you're going to understand each other. So today I'll be sharing on a message that I've really wanted to share for my channel or in my channel for the longest time ever, and I feel like now it's time, and I hope that this will be a blessing to each and every one of you. If you're not born again, I hope that through all this you will get to know the love of Christ, get born again, and that is basically one of the major goals for this channel, so that you who doesn't know about Christ will know about Christ and receive him, and whoever knows about Christ will also grow in their faith as I'm also growing in my faith. So today's message is based on Exodus chapter 14 chapter, but you can go ahead and read it at your own time and get to be revealed the things that I'm sharing with you. So first of all, this is the story of Moses and the Israelites and their crossing the Red Sea, and this is one of the most powerful stories in the Bible because we see a huge miracle coming to be, and we see the power of God upon the Israelites. And honestly, Moses is like one of my favorite characters in the Bible, so anything about him, it just really makes me really happy to read and to see the life that he went through and how he walked with the Lord. So basically, in chapter 14, I'll talk about a few pointers, and this will be 10 things that I've learned from Exodus 14, and I hope that you get to be blessed and to get this message in the way that I got it. And first of all, I'm going to do this in the way that I observed things from this chapter. If you've watched my video on my Bible study from Numbers chapter 14, Numbers chapter 1 to 5, I talked about how I've been doing my Bible study, and I've been doing it in a different way where I do my observation, I do my interpretation, then I do my lessons, and it has really helped me to spend more time in the Word of God, to read the Word of God as something huge and not just a normal book where you just go through the Bible or just through a verse quickly. So yeah, so the first thing that I observed from Exodus 14 is that in verses 4 we start with saying that I really hope you get to read this chapter, or should I read it with you guys? I really hope you do read it. Please do read it. Okay, so the first thing is that um God intentionally hardens Pharaoh's heart. So we can see in the previous books, or in the previous chapters, in Exodus, that God intentionally hardens Pharaoh's heart so that he doesn't let the people go, and they get to go through the 10 plagues, and the last plague is the plague that Pharaoh is like, you know what, I am done with you guys, go back to where you're from, I don't want you. And then when they are gone, we see in 14 verses 4, we see him the Lord hardening his heart so that he goes after them, and he's like, no, I really made a really bad decision in letting these people go. So he's like, no, I'm going to go after them. So God intentionally hardens Pharaoh's heart. And what I got from this is that God at times will allow trials and tribulations and difficult times to come in your life so that you can get to see the power of God in your life. And in these times where we are going through the whole pandemic and corona and everything, I feel like these are things that we are getting to get different lessons from this moment, and the moment that you get to see that God is actually working through the difficult times to show you whatever it is he wants to show you, and to start seeing things from the positive side, that God is still God, that God is walking with you, and you will see this as we go on. That is going to make you see things in a totally different way. So so we see that we go through trials, we go through crises, and my brother is really distracting me. Unataka nini? No, I'll just pick it. You want to say hi? Oh, come say hi. Hi. He's been here the whole time. Okay, acha nimalize basi. And he was really distracting me. But anyway, what I was saying is that God will allow difficult times in your life to teach you something, and there are so many messages and many sermons being preached out there in these times. And there was one that I was listening to by Dr. Charles. He was talking about what to do when you're facing crises. There's another one by Rick Warren, when you're going through the heat. I actually just listened to it right now. It's really powerful. Probably I'll share it in my next video. Then the next observation, or the next thing that I've learned from this, is that, and these things are what happens before you be still. So basically what I mean by being still is that you are in a difficult position, and then you just have to be still and let God do whatever he does. So the second thing is that he hardened his heart so that he could follow them to gain God's glory through the Pharaoh. So in verses 17 to 18, he says that, the word says that, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians so that they will go in after them, and I will gain glory through Pharaoh. So this is an answer to the first part. Why does he allow the difficult times or the hardening times? And this happens so that, oh my goodness, this happens so that everything is just going wrong. So this happens so that God can be glorified through these difficult moments for good. And it's all honestly up to us to get to see that, even when you're going through difficult times, or whenever you're going through something really huge, that all these things are going to work out together for good. And the Bible usually says that they work together for good for those who love the Lord and have been called in accordance to his purpose. So you have to love the Lord and be doing what his purpose is in your life, and then everything that goes on will work together for your good. And another thing is that so that he can be glorified, as we said. And then we see that another reason why he will allow this is so that others can know, and you yourself will also know, that God is seated on the throne, and that he is the Lord of all gods, and to trust him and to believe that he is capable of doing anything and everything. And then the last one is that these things, or the difficult moments, might go on in your life so that you can get a wake-up call. At times it's not about you learning, it's not about you knowing that he's God, it's not about you, working together for good, or actually something good coming out of your misery or your crisis. Because at times we go through difficult moments, and then from those difficult moments you actually get to see that happened so that you could get a good thing. But other times you actually go through the difficult moments so that you can get a wake-up call, so that God can discipline you, so that he can tell you that this is what you've been doing wrong, you need to change your ways and all that. And then the third thing is about complaints. And Israel, we see the Israelites complaining about or complaining to Moses, and they are like, why did you get us out of Egypt so that we could come and die here? As in, it would have been better if we just stayed in Egypt and become slaves than for you to remove us from somewhere we were really comfortable, according to them, and then we come and die out here. And that is in verses 11 to 12. And we see them saying, let me read it. They say to Moses, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt? Alright, yeah, so they're like, why would you do this so that you could bring us out here and so that we will die here? And then they say in verses 12, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians. It would have been great for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert. And I feel like at times when you're going through difficult moments, we start seeing, or we start complaining about what we don't have, about what is going on, and we don't even remember what he has done. So personally, I would be like, you would complain, but then as a reader, or while you're reading the Bible, you're like, why are these people really complaining this much? As in, God just delivered them from slavery, 430 years of slavery, and they're out here saying that it would have been better for us to go back. And you're like, wait. And we also see that in the previous chapters, the Pharaoh was like, you're not even going to give you bricks for you to giving you straws to make the bricks. So even the oppression is actually harder. But then they are like, what, I think it would have been better to just remain there. And they don't actually focus on who God is. And I feel like that's what we do at times. We focus on it's better if we had the worst situation ever than for us to go through this difficult moment. But then one thing I've been learning is that trust the process. Right, so let's go on. So I had taken a break, but I am back. And I'm sorry about the noise. You guys just have to bear with it. Everyone is at home and I feel like I'm so zoomed in. Oh, okay, that's better. So you'll have to just bear with me. Everyone is at home. There's so much noise. So yeah, maybe one day we'll have an office and we'll have a place to record where there's no noise and there's good lighting and everything. But for now, bear with me. And I was talking about yeah, complaints. And so I was saying that in complaints we start to focus on what is in the past, how we would have preferred the past, and we don't want to look ahead and to think about how good or how great it will be in the future, and we don't want to see what God will actually do or can do in our future. We feel like we don't want to go through the fire, we don't want to go through the waters, we don't want to go through this process which is going to lead to us getting a better life. And I feel like this is what the Israelites were doing. So they are saying that, it would have been better for us just to continue being slaves and to just die there than to come here and die in the desert. But nobody said they were going to die, as in, yes, you're facing a difficult situation, but the fact, or what I've been telling myself, is now I know who God is. If you don't know who God is, it's kind of understandable if you're like, you're really worried. But right now, I know who God is. You know that there's God in heaven, and you know that there's a God in heaven, and he's always fighting our battle. So he has fought a battle for you, and when you're in the next battle, you're like, nah, I think he's not there, and we forget that he's actually looking out for us. And the last thing is that we start to forget the promises that he has given us. So he has told us in Isaiah 43 that he will walk with us through the fire, in when we are in the waters, that we are not going to get harmed, we are not going to drown from these waters. So he has given us so many promises. He has said that he has a great future for us, he has great plans for us. He has said that in Psalms 90, that he's protecting us, that our feet will not stumble, that he's always watching over us. In Psalms 121, he talks about in verses I think it's 5 or 6, that the sun will not harm you by day, the moon will not harm you by night, that he's always watching over us. So he has given us so many promises. He has said that he is there with us. In the fire, he is with you, he is with me. In the waters, he's going to walk with me. I'm not going to drown, I'm not going to get burnt from the fire. But then we forget these promises. We start complaining, we start focusing on what is actually going wrong, and we don't focus on what he will actually do. And as I said about them, they had just gone through a period where they saw that God, even during the 10 plagues, there are some plagues that God will let them to happen on the Egyptians, and then the Israelites will not go through these plagues. So that is such a huge thing, that you see that God is making a clear distinction, but then when something bad happens, you forget. And that's where it all comes along when you say about Thanksgiving. And I usually say in my channel that if everything is going well, thank God. If everything is not going well, also thank him because of what he has done. Because the moment we stopped being grateful, we stop seeing what God has done, we start focusing on what he's not doing, and we stop seeing who he is, and we start to make him actually feel like, you're not even worth all these things, because you're not even grateful for the few things that I've done. And that's who we are as human. But since we are born again, we don't have to be like the way other people are. We are different, we are changed, we are a new creation. Christ is living in us, and we are different people. The fourth thing is that the leader that Moses was. So in all this, I will see so many different variations on my observation. And one thing that I saw is that Moses was such a good leader. He was a leader who encouraged them. And we see in verses 13 what he says to them. And he's like, you guys, don't worry. He's encouraging them. So in the trials or in the situations that we go through, you also need that one person who will be there to tell you that, don't worry, God is with you, he's watching over you. And in verses 13, Moses answered the people, do not be afraid, stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord. The Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. So he's like, don't worry, be encouraged. Know that the people you're seeing right now, the trials you're seeing right now, you won't see them again. So I feel like at times we need that person to be the Moses in our lives, and we also need to be that person in another person's life. So in this journey of salvation, it's not about me on my own, it's about all of us. We are all one, we are united with this. The Bible says that we are one body, we are one, we have one spirit, we have one Lord, we have one one Christ, and we are all one. So we need to encourage each other. So be the encouragement for your friend, for your brother, for your sister. And I also need someone to encourage me. So if I encourage someone, the next time I will be going through the difficult moments, they will be there to encourage me. And we see Moses doing that. And I feel like that's a really nice character, or something that we usually don't focus on, that you can't do this on your own. Yes, you will have the whole feeling of that you have to pray, you have to do this and this and this, but we also need someone who will be there for us. So have those close friends. The other day I was listening to Rick Warren, and he said that it doesn't say, or it's not that you should not have friends who are not born again, because who are you going to preach to? But also your best friends should be people who you're going to pray together with, people you can actually go through a difficult moment and you'll be like, I need you guys to help me pray for this, and they will also ask the same from you. So it's all about bringing each other up, encouraging each other, and all that. So now that whole period was what Moses, or not what Moses, what I observed before he tells them to be still. So in verses 13 or in verses 14, so Exodus 14:14, this is where all this message is coming from. Moses tells them, the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. So now before we become still, or before this whole thing of be still, we have seen what we have to do. There are going to be trials, there are going to be tribulations, and God will bring them into your life. At times you will bring them to yourselves, they will come to happen, but then all these things are for the glory of God. You'll also need someone to be there to encourage us. You'll also need someone who will be there to support you, to pray with. This is now better. We have so many complaints, but anyway, so after them, so they're told to be still by Moses. We see the first thing that happens is that the angel that was before them went behind them. This is in verses 19. So we see then the angel of the Lord, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and went behind them. So those are three things. And also the pillar of cloud went behind them. And then the other thing is that stood behind them, coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other. So neither went near the other all night long. So if you've read the story of the Israelites, and when they were coming out of Egypt, we see that they were guided by a pillar of cloud during the day, and at night they were guided by the pillar of fire. So basically they would move in camps. There were really many people, actually. Like if you start to picture the way they will travel, it's actually really fascinating, because I was thinking there are really many people, and you're just following one guy, you're following Moses and all that. And Moses was actually, he was a great man, because like leading people to a place they don't even know where they are going. Their ancestors used to live there, so it's not their place, they've never been there, and you're leading them through this, and you're going through the desert and all that. It had to be a really huge our task. But anyway, we know that, or if you can read the Bible, if you don't know this, they will be guided by a pillar of cloud, which is really amazing. So a cloud will go before them and they will follow it, and during the night a pillar of fire will guide them. So we see in this moment when they are still that the pillar of cloud goes behind them. It's no longer in front of them, it's behind them, and it's coming between the Egyptian army and the Israelites. And we see that the angel of the Lord, who was also before them, goes behind them. And this was really amazing, because when I read that, I was like, when you're going through these difficult moments and you choose to be still, you choose to trust in God, that God will now come and fight for you. You don't have to look back, and you don't have to feel that you need to start handling what is behind you, or what is going on, or what you're facing. He comes in between you and the problem. He's now between that. You don't have to worry about the problem anymore. You just have to move forward, because now he's going to be the obstacle between that problem. So that problem is not going to get to you, and this only happens when you're still. I really, really hope this is getting through to you guys. So So that's it, that the angel comes behind them, the barrier is created. So we see that all night long, the Egyptian army would not get to the Israelites. So that thing, as in they will not get to them because there's a pillar behind them. And I can actually imagine that the cloud is just covering. So this side, we see that they have darkness, but the other side, the Israelites people, they have light. So these people cannot see what's going on. So your difficult moments, everything that you're going through, it's actually now covered up and it's all darkness, but on your side you see the light. Remember that Jesus is the light of the world, is living in you, so he's giving you that light, and the light of Christ, no darkness can prevail. So that was actually really huge, and I feel like that's so beautiful that I don't know, I was just really fascinated by that, and it just shows how great God is. Like, things will actually happen in a way that you didn't expect them to happen. So they will be, they usually had the cloud before them, but right now it's behind them and it's actually covering the other people. So even if it's people in your life who are bringing you down, they will just be covered. There will just be darkness around them. They will not see you moving on by yourself. You are moving on, and it's honestly so beautiful. And we see that the Lord comes behind us and is protecting us from any kind of harm. We may see it or not, but he is there. That's actually really huge, that you may see that God is actually there and he's actually behind you and he's covering you from all those things that are actually trying to come to you. Other times you may not see them, but he is there. And there's this verse in Psalm 70, was it 77 verses 14, let me just confirm it, and it's talking about the Israelites and crossing through the sea, which is actually really timely. And he talks about that they did not see the Lord moving with them in the waters, but the footsteps were there. It is in 77, no 70, wait, where my thoughts are all over, let me just find it. Yeah, 77 verses 19. It says that your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty waters, though your footprints were not seen. So the footprints are not seen, but the Lord was there with them. He walked through the waters with them, and he walks through the waters with you. So we may not see the Lord and the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire and the angel. We are able, so the light, so the next thing, the light is there then. Then God creates the path. So we have the light and we see that the Israelites can actually see, but the other people cannot see what's going on. So we are able to see what's ahead, and we're able to see the path before us and the paths before us, and we're able to see the clear path on how we are going to walk. And this is from Proverbs 16:3, a very amazing verse, that commit your ways to the Lord. Proverbs 16:3, commit your ways or whatever you do to the Lord, and he will establish your plans. He will give you a clear path. And in Proverbs 3, it usually says that when you commit your plans to the Lord or your ways to the Lord, he makes them straight. So it's a straight path. You don't have to worry about, that there are other things on your side. It's actually just straight and it's clear, and you know where you're going, what you're going towards, and how you're going to go through that. And I feel like even when we commit our ways to the Lord and he make our path straight, or he establishes our plans, this also comes along with us knowing that when we do that, God goes ahead and he actually shows us what his will is. So at times we are usually in those circumstances where we are actually wondering, what is God's will? Where does he want me to go next? How does he want me to do this? But then when we are still, he usually shows us the path, or on how we are going to go through things and where he wants us to go. So that's something also very beautiful. And the next thing is, after all this, when you read the story, you get to see that not a single one of the Egyptians was left. So Moses had told them that the Egyptians you now see, you will never see them again. And it does get to happen. So after we stay still and we believe what God is, and we let him guard our hearts, whatever it is that he tells us, it does come to be. Next is that when he has fought for you, it doesn't end there. So I feel like when you've gone through this, the trials, and you've come out of them, you've been still, and you've walked in the Lord's direction, you've let him guide you, it doesn't stop there. There are a few things we have to do. One, fear and trust him. from then on, you need to now focus. We need to now focus on always knowing that he will get us through the fire. He will walk with us in the waters. We will not drown in the waters. And other than that, we need to fear him and to walk in a way that we know who God is. We don't have to be told that, God has been doing this, because you already know that is happening. Next, we have to thank him and sing him praises. So in chapter 15, we see Miriam and the women, and they are singing to the Lord, and they're singing with their tambourines, and they're thanking him, and they're saying how God has delivered them. So you have to thank God. You have to show that you're actually grateful. It's not about him just doing everything and then you're just there and you're like, oh, okay. You have to we have to sing praises and thank him. The last thing, which is very important, let's not forget what God has done. Let's not forget that he has brought us out of this. And the other day I was thinking about how we are going to come out of the corona, and we are going to come out of these difficult stages in our life, but let's not forget what God has done. To add on to that, and when we are just like the Israelites, we are very fast to complain, very fast to see that God is not working, very fast to start seeing what is not going on well, and very fast to forget what God has done. After the Israelites came out of this and they get to Canaan, because they do get to Canaan, spoiler alert, they do, if you've not read this story, but if you've read this story, you're like, but they do get to Canaan. They go through so many difficult trials. They go out of them successfully, and they do come out victorious, but they still forget that God was the one who got them out of that. They still forget that God is the God of all gods. They still worship idols, yet they were told, worship no other God other than me. Don't make any idols for yourself. They forget that. We are like that. Another thing is that when they stayed still, God did so many amazing things for them that they could never have imagined, and they were delivered, just like Moses had said. And then it's not going to be just in a snap of a finger, but with the Spirit, with Jesus and with God, it's easy, because even believing in the Trinity itself is faith and trust. So it's not easy to just be still. It's not just easy to just trust, but God makes it easy. The Spirit makes it easy. Jesus makes it easy. So believing in Jesus the Father, in God the Father, believing in God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and trusting in them, this makes it easy to actually grow in the faith and to not have the wavering faith, or to at one time you're very high in your faith, and next time you're like, I don't know. But with Christ, with Lord and with God guiding us, it becomes much easier. So as I said, Psalms 46:10. And then lastly, I would like to say this. So no need for anxiety or complaints or crying. Just look up to God, be still and watch him do his thing, which is always to keep us safe, which is always victory. God does not know what defeat looks like, and which is for him to be glorified. And in all these things, always remember that all glory belongs to him. Don't give yourself the glory. And prayer is very important as well. So that's it for this video. I hope that you've got to learn something. I hope that I've delivered this message in a way that it was delivered to me when I read the Bible. And I hope that from now on we will be still. We will not focus on being anxious, complaints, and focusing on what has happened before. And when we do that, let's ask God to forgive us when we don't thank him for what he has done in our lives. And I feel like this message is usually, it's all about trust. Everything is all about trust. It's just that it has different meanings or different ways to be explained. And yeah, I'm sorry about all the background noise, the distractions. I really hope I will be a very good editor in this video, because it's going to need a huge amount of dedication in editing it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that even in these times, even in these difficult moments, that you know, you're still reading your Bible, you're still praying, you're still finding time to appreciate what God is giving you or what God has given. Even the fact that you can actually watch this video, you have eyes. That's something that you should thank God for, right? Every morning I'm usually like, thank you God, because I have all my five senses. As in, I can hear, I can talk, I can smell, I can sense, I can feel. Talking, is it, yeah, is talking a sense? I can, well, let's see, we can see, I can hear, I can feel, I can smell, and I can touch. Yeah, all that. It's actually something huge. So thank you so much. Remember that God loves you. His love is unconditional. No matter what you do, he will always love you. And I will see you in my next video. Everyone is just looking at me. It's really awkward. I have to go now.